It's no mystery that I'm a big fan of the GameCube as I grew up with the console and spent a great deal of time playing Animal Crossing and Super Smash Bros. Melee. However, something else that I'm a big fan of is trivia and weird leftover pieces of knowledge that everyone seems to have forgotten about. While digging through some old video ideas, I came upon a list of weird GameCube factoids which I was supposed to compile back in 2017, but never got around to it. So I decided that in celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary, and Sunshine finally getting the re-release it deserves, here are 5 pieces of GameCube knowledge that trivia enthusiasts will enjoy. Something that I've noticed a lot in my travels of ancient GameCube content are strategy guides, which usually contain incorrect or beta content. This is likely the result of the guides being compiled before the game finishes development, so things can get changed. In fact, there exists some images of a Dinosaur Planet guide from Nintendo Power, which was ultimately scrapped when the game became Star Fox Adventures. But today we're going to look at the Melee strategy guide. There are a few interesting beta elements that were accidentally left in, both the Nintendo Power and Prima versions. The first one is that of the Tota KK trophy, who was incorrectly labeled as Arlo. This isn't a typo, but rather the name KK was going to be given during the localization of Animal Crossing. It doesn't show the name in the screenshot, however, so it's unknown if that name ever made it into the actual game. Something else that did though, and also makes an appearance in the guide, are images of Peach and Zelda without their skirts on. This topic made the rounds back in the day, to which Nintendo commented on it, stating that there was a version of Melee without the skirts, to make sure their legs were functioning properly. It's still pretty strange that this specifically made it into the guide, but it's an interesting look at Melee's development nonetheless. Luigi's Mansion first made its debut in 3D on the Nintendo 3DS in March 2013. But years before that, there existed a 3D version of Luigi's Mansion, the GameCube original in fact. In an old Iwata Asks interview, which discussed the history Nintendo has had with the idea of 3D gaming, Iwata confirmed that the Nintendo GameCube was built with 3D compatible circuitry, allowing for games to be displayed in 3D. This required a special LCD screen accessory that used the same liquid crystal component as the 3DS. Ultimately, they were able to get one game, Luigi's Mansion, running in 3D using this setup, though unfortunately was completely scrapped. The liquid crystal was so expensive at the time that the LCD screen would have been priced higher than that of the GameCube itself, so it was decided that the market for that kind of peripheral just wasn't there. The e-reader, e-reader cards, link cable, LAN adapter, keyboard controller. Do you think the GameCube had enough peripherals? Well, if you did, then think again, because there was another peripheral in development in the early 2000s. This little device was called the Game Eye, and was shown off in conjunction with an up-and-coming GameCube title called Stage Debut. The Game Eye was essentially an updated Game Boy camera that would be used with the GBA and allowed for players to take photos. These would be uploaded to Stage Debut and allow for customization options in the game. E3 2003 was the only time the Game Eye was shown before it was quietly cancelled along with Stage Debut and never seen again. The price point of the Game Eye was also said to be around the price of what a new digital camera was going for back in the day, which would deter consumers from wanting to spend that much money on a device that could only be used with one game. I think the design does look pretty neat though, so this is something I probably would have had some fun with back in the day. One of the most standout features of the GameCube were without a doubt its graphics. Seeing those blocky N64 polygons become rounded and more realistic looking was a memorable achievement in the early 2000s era of gaming. It's almost like those models in the game could jump right out of the screen and into your hands, which is exactly what happened. In the early 2000s, a US-based company called Joyride Studios began producing action figures based on popular properties at the time, under the Nintendo Power and GamePro line. These figures have become iconic to collectors and are what I'd consider the toy line of the GameCube. It contains some of the best and only full-scale toys from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Luigi's Mansion, and Mario Sunshine. Specialty stores like comic book shops were the best place to find them, but toy stores and even GameStop carried them as well. Despite the wide range of characters and under $10 price range, the line actually did pretty poorly after the initial few waves. Re-releases of old characters became more frequent, and stores set heavy discounts on figures they couldn't sell. Within a couple years, Joyride closed this brand of their toy line, and upcoming figures like Fox from Star Fox Adventures were cancelled and never released. I don't think we've ever gotten a toy line so directly based on the GameCube designs as this, and I don't think it'll ever happen again. One of my favorite things to discover are those long-forgotten oddities that only seem to exist on abandoned fan sites from back in the day. There's just so much weird stuff out there that used to be discussion points or topics of interest. I'm not even sure how I ran into this, but long ago I stumbled upon a mailbag entry from the mushroomkingdom.net, where a reader wrote in with a question about the GameCube instruction manual. They were flipping through the booklet and came to a page that detailed the memory card. To their surprise was data for Super Mario 64 listed on the GameCube memory card screen. And if you look closer, you can see additional data for Wave Race, Zelda, and Mario Party. What's the deal here? Was Mario 64 planning to release on the GameCube? Well, it seems as if when Nintendo was compiling the images for this GameCube instruction manual, they pulled assets from N64 games to use as an example, since many GameCube titles hadn't been completed at that point. The actual data for Mario 64 also lists the game as Super Mario Bros., and the save is from World 8.1, more proof that this is only a mock-up and nothing more. Though it's really funny to think about Nintendo pulling N64 assets together for distribution in a GameCube instruction manual. And what's more, is that the host of the mailbag page speculates we might see Mario 64 on the GameCube as part of a game collection. 17 years later, and that collection has finally happened. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other game-related Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.